everyone, I'm Sam.
I'm Todd.
And I'm Laura.
And this is
Disney Dummies.
Not bad, not bad. You guys?
I think there was some actual harmony happening there.
I actually think that might be the best one we've ever done.
It might be. I mean, you guys were a little late, but it was fine. It was good. I thought it was good.
Okay. She can say that because she's the host this time.
Yeah. We'll take that. We'll take that.
I can say whatever the fuck I want because I'm the host this time, right? So, hey, everybody.
And you are.
Hey,
pal.
Thank you for coming. I won't be too crass here. Welcome to episode, what is this, guys? 11? No, 10?
I think it's 11, yeah.
Is it 11?
No, it's
okay.
11.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Wow, that's crazy. So, episode 11 of Disney Dummies, where we've been going through chronologically on all the Disney animated feature films. I say that and you think 11, wow, you've talked about a lot of movies here, but in real talk with you guys, we're on like fucking 5 or 6 of these like weird compilation movies. Yeah, it's been a lot of Disney
films.
Disney reject package films, if you will. I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the last one.
This is the last one.
We're done with them after this?
We freaking did it.
Oh my God. All right.
We did it.
All right. So we're finally at the end of this, what feels like forever stretch of, just packaged films, bunch of shorts, nothing. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, this week you know what? I'm not going to get too ahead of myself here. It's not for me to introduce the film this week. So why don't you take it away and give us a nice, beautiful summary tongue?
Were you guessing if it was me or Laura?
No, she's kind of confident.
It sounded like Sam was stalling.
You're really smart. I did have to look it up.
I was like, Sam seems like she's stalling. I know you too well. Well, amazing hosting job, Sam. Thank you, especially for episode 11. So we are at the last of the packaged films, the 6-part packaged films, and we are today discussing The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad that came out in 1949.
Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Now, this title's a little weird because the order that these come in is reversed. It's all wrong. Yeah. It's Mr. Toad that's first.
Mr. Toad and Ichabod doesn't sound any worse than Ichabod and Mr. Toad, so I wonder why they made that choice.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Toad part like sticks. I don't know. I don't
Ichabod.
Make the
Do you think Mr. Toad and Ichabod sounds better?
No, I think they sound about the same.
All right. I think Ichabod and Mr. Toad has a nicer ring to it.
Okay. You might be right, but that seems like a hot take, and we're not even close.
You know what?
To
I'm sorry. Continue on.
Okay, so this is in 1949 is when this came out, and today instead of watching like a bunch of like random shorts, like 6 shorts, 5 shorts, 4 shorts, set to like random music and just a bunch of weird live action, we are watching like 2 separate mini animated adventures. Basically, they have their own full stories of their own, based on a book. 2 books, I would say. So the first one is The Wind in the Willows, based on the 1908 book by Kenneth Graham. Basically, it follows the protagonist Thaddeus Toad and his incurable adventure kind of mania that this character has. And I wrote a bunch of jot notes. So here's my summary of this. There's a toad, there's a rat, there's a mole, there's a badger. Toad loves adventure, but is reckless with his money and has a mania. They keep mentioning mania, so he just gets obsessed about stuff. He is going to cause Toad Hall Estate, which is what he owns, go bankrupt, and it's kind of like the landmark or the big piece of the town kind of thing. Like if they lose this, then the whole town kind of loses their identity. Toad has a new horse named Ciro that loves to sing and has a lot of attitude. He then finds a car, and then it pretends he's driving the car the entire way home on his butt. and his rat friend and Mole. Actually, I think they're only called Rat.
Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole.
The worst names ever. Those are hot takes for later, I guess.
Save it.
I'll save it for then. Yeah. And then basically, so he pretends he's riding a car the entire way home, and then his friends put him on house arrest because they say, "Yo, you're going crazy again. You gotta calm down."
Yeah.
Toad escapes and then immediately basically goes to court because he's accused for stealing a car. Toad was going to trade his entire estate for a car, tries to buy it from a bunch of weasels and Mr. Winky, and he's talking about Mr. Winky as like, oh, such a nice guy, Mr. Winky. Look at this guy. Look at him. His mustache. He looks so great. Mr. Winky throws him under the bus, and Toad gets thrown in jail for 20 years with no appeal.
Long time for a toad.
Yeah.
Seems pretty harsh.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh for stealing a car.
Yeah.
The horse disguised himself as Toad's grandmother and helps him escape. Toad runs away, and a cop then like kind of finds him and kind of hits on the female Toad version, and then says, hey. You're a Toad. You're the Toad. And then there's like this big chase where Toad like hijacks a train, and all the cops are shooting their bullets at
recklessly.
Toad. Yeah, like
reckless moves by the cops.
There's a lot of violence in this one, but everyone misses because it's a cartoon. Toad reunites with his buddies, and there is a heist plan. They have a little bit of a heist plan. It's a really bad heist, but anyways, they go into the estate, and then they drop the mole to try to steal the deed, and the deed will prove Toad's innocence, basically. This little piece of paper.
I don't think it does. I think it's just like, you got the deed, you got the house.
Oh, well, it says whatever. That's what I wrote here. So this is my summary, Laura.
My mistake.
And then there's a crazy chase in the estate where all the weasels are trying to kill the rest of the animals. You got rats, you got mole. I don't think you got badger in this mix.
Yeah, badger's there.
Is badger there?
Yeah.
Ciro's not there for whatever
them.
reason. Which is the horse.
He's too big.
Then they take the paper, and then Mr. Winky is then arrested, and everyone's happy. And then they're saying, Toad is a new person, or he's a new Toad, so responsible now. And then you see him, and they cut away to him like flying a plane. So
because it's never enough.
And that is the story of Mr. Toad, based again on The Wind in the Willows. Before we move on to the next story, what did everyone think of? First of all, did everyone see this compilation of shorts before?
I was going to pause you right there and be like, where's our nostalgia feature? Like, did anybody care going into this about either story?
I think I saw Ichabod back in the day.
I thought I knew the story of Ichabod. Wind in the Willows, I read a few years ago for a children's literature class, I think. It's much better in my head.
Is it like this? Is it about a toad that just like is going wild with like crazy adventures and like can't satisfy himself?
It's like he's one of the main characters. I think the other main character is so who are they? There's
Rat, Mole, and Badger.
Yeah. I think it's more about like the friendship between Mole and Mr. Toad. And they have like a series of adventures, if I recall, and this is but one of them.
That was kind of like, I kind of did a small amount. This one was really hard. I was trying to find the differences between, we haven't done this in a while because all other movies have been kind of weird.
It's all just been made
But I was
up.
trying to find like the differences between this movie version and the source material, and it was really hard to find. But it sounds like the book, or at least the movie, is inspired very heavily on what happens in the book. Like basically all the parts are there, except for like one sequence is not there. And the horse character was never a thing in the books, apparently.
Right.
That's it.
So it's like, going into this, I was like super excited for this one. Without getting like too far ahead or whatever, I was like, oh, Ichabod and Toad, like let's see what it's about. And when it started, I mean, they do preface this one with the same storybook, like, oh, here we go into the Wind in the Willows kind of thing with the like book, the book
The
intro.
live action
cool
book thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason in my head, like I kind of remembered bits of both going into this, and I was like, oh yeah, I feel like they're good. And then when it was starting, I kind of got excited for a second because I thought they were gonna like mix the two stories and they were both gonna be like intertwined into one big movie. And I was like, wow, that's so creative and like innovative for Disney to like take these two vastly different stories and like mash them, because the title of the movie is Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So I was like, oh, I thought this was like one story, but it's still much like what you've been dealing with, just like two separate stories. And I was like, oh man, like the whole time with Toad, I was like, when is he gonna meet Ichabod?
I'm so sorry.
Going to the fireworks factory.
And that's why it's called The Adventures and not The Adventure of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
That's true.
Now, Sam, you
You're
said
so
that
right.
You were waiting for it to be innovative and creative. And I've just got to say, I don't think we've seen innovative and creative since Fantasia. It's been a long
Wait, you
stretch.
said you loved Bambi.
Okay, Bambi, gorgeous film. Innovative and creative? Maybe not so much.
I mean, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I mean, do we have any favorite moments from Mr. Toad? Like, I do think there is some fun animation bits and like gags in this one, but I do think it goes, you know, a little bit long, like most things.
I mean,
I do think it's hilarious that a toad is going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like, how does a toad go bankrupt? Also, how do you lock up a toad in prison? Come on, think how tiny that cell would have to be and how teeny tiny the little bars on the cell would have to be. That's not realistic.
Yep.
No one was surprised he got out.
I mean, speaking of realistic too, I was like, I remember thinking, and I'm not usually one to like pick apart things in this way, but when when he's like finally jailbroken or whatever, he's like running around the streets, and I was like, what the fuck happened to that like ball and chain you had wrapped around your foot? Is that just like magically gone? But then he uses it for like a butt joke. It's like what he's been using to be his butt as a female toad. And I was like, okay, but it's magically light and you've been running around with it now. And then he like gets hit underwater and then he can't breathe. But can frogs breathe underwater?
Yeah. Well,
I didn't really get. He suddenly panicked that he was underwater.
I was like,
and I was
oh,
like,
you're safe. You're a frog. But then he wasn't.
He was panicking because like he couldn't swim away. That's what I was getting. Like he can breathe underwater, but he couldn't actually go anywhere because he was chained down, which they never explain how
it
he
was
got
misleading.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, all species of amphibian can breathe underwater.
Yeah. That makes sense.
According to the internet.
Yeah,
I think there was a fun bit in this one that I really enjoyed. Actually, both of them had this, which was like fun chase sequences.
Okay.
And so I really liked the cops chasing the toad, but I think the more fun bit was when they're at the estate. And I think like a lot of chaos ensues when Mr. Winky's like, go get him. And then everybody's trying to get this paper. And then it becomes like 5 minutes of animals throwing daggers and swords at each other and missing, but also like back and forth of like grabbing the paper. One character has it and then the bad guy has it, then the good guy has it, and then you have Toad, which I thought was a really fun bit, was when he was like throwing a bunch of random paper like in paper airplanes. I think that whole sequence was probably the most fun I had with the whole thing, and it was very, very, very cartoony.
Yeah. The other thing I really liked about this movie was the costumes. They were very evocative of like a time and a place and a class in British society. And I enjoyed how they were fully dressed like humans, no matter what animal they were. Quite fun.
Yeah. I was just going to say, what was his name? Ditzy? No. The human
Winky?
Winky, yeah.
Mr. Winky?
Winky was fucked, man. I don't know.
What's he doing hanging out with all those animals?
Yeah, I wasn't on board with the Winky.
I think Mr. Winky's a weasel.
I think that's exactly why he was hanging out with weasels.
Oh,
yeah, it was a pretty on the nose thing. Yeah.
My final comment on this film is, why is it called Wind in the Willows?
Oh,
I don't really get it.
Yeah, maybe it's
we can just
thing.
leave that.
Yeah,
Wind in the Willows just sounds so like whimsical and innocent.
Maybe it is in the book.
I don't know. Mr. Toad ain't innocent.
Well, he is. He's just kind of, he's a hard protagonist to root for. That's kind of how I felt.
Yo,
I was like,
both of them are.
He's
what?
Yeah.
You know what? On that note, why don't you tell us about our next protagonist, who's obviously
so angry about it.
Better.
Tell us.
Well, you know what? Both these protagonists suck. Tongue, take it away.
Yeah. All right, I'll take it away. And I think this one is the more popular one. And when people like think about this series of shorts together in this one movie, they remember this story because it's more popular. Let's be real here.
It's more horrifying, Brad. So before we get into it, nostalgia factor. I kind of remembered it, but not really. I think I remember the dance scene, but like Brad was like, "Oh, this one gave me nightmares." Like as a kid, I don't feel like I wanted to watch it very much because it scared me. And
the horseman bit of it, that was like on posters and in front of the movie like covers and stuff.
One of the scariest villains that we'll see in a Disney movie.
And a scary song. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving.
Who's the town's ladies' man? Gets around like nobody can. Has to be none other than Ichabod.
Which was originally published in the sketchbook with a bunch of different stories. So it's actually a shorter story within a larger piece of collections of stories. Whereas Wind in the Willows, it's its own book kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So here's what I got here. Ichabod rolls in as a new schoolmaster, barters good grades for free meals. That's what he does. He doesn't really care. He just wants to get free meals from mothers. He's kind of a ladies' man. He makes everyone swoon, makes the other guys jealous. He falls in love with Katrina Van Tassel.
Won't forget Katrina.
Who is a busty Bo Peep looking gal.
With a rich daddy.
With a rich daddy.
Cinderella looking gal.
Yeah.
Despite, I took this verbatim because I didn't really clue in on this. Despite the fact that he is falling in love with her, Ichabod mainly desires to take her family's money for himself. I thought he was, I knew that part, but I thought he loved her more. That's kind of my, the way I saw it. Brom, who is basically like Gaston, it also is in love and competes for Katrina.
Pause. You're right there. Did you really root for one of those guys over the other?
I mean, obviously. What are we doing here? Let's be clear. The real hero of this story
is
Brom.
Oh,
Brom.
Interesting.
No, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Ichabod's kind of a dick.
I don't think there's a right answer. I just think both kind of suck. So I was like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, is he supposed to be a villain? I was like, I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I this is what I wrote here, and this is what I took from the internet because this is also something I didn't pick up on, which was Ichabod wins Katrina over at every opportunity. Although unbeknownst to him, Katrina, who thinks Brom is too sure of himself, is only using Ichabod to make Brom jealous and force him to try harder for her affections.
Subplot.
Which is something I didn't pick up on either, like in the movie. Like, did you guys get that?
I thought she was just playing everyone.
That's what I thought too.
I didn't necessarily think that she was into Brom.
I was like, why would you be into either of these douchebags?
Yeah.
Well, she kind of uses men, is what it seems like. You know,
who knows?
Like she like gets people to like set up like a picnic on one side, and she's like, no, I don't want that, and then she gets people to set up picnic on the other side, and like everyone's holding her groceries and stuff. Anyways, I didn't pick up on that. Okay, back to my summary, which is a lot less it doesn't sound as good. They all dance at a dance hall, and Brom dances with a short, plump, excitable plump. I said plump twice.
Short, focus plump, on her body tongue.
Excitable woman. Brom, she is. Brom scares Ichabod with a song about a headless horseman.
The headless horseman needs a head with a hip, hip, and a clippity clap. He's out looking for a cotton chop, so don't stop to figure out a plan. You can't reason with a headless man.
Ichabod shits his pants at the inn, and then basically... Well, he doesn't actually do that, but he's really scared. He's really scared. He then goes home through the forest, and he's just scared by all the noises that are going on. He's like, oh, is this the horseman? Is this the horseman? And then he's like, oh, it's just like the leaves or something on a rock, which I thought was a funny thing.
Or the wind in the willows. Who knows?
Sure. he runs into Mr.
I
Toad.
like that.
And then the horseman shows up. And then there's another big chase sequence, which we'll get into this afterwards, but I think this is also the most fun part of the movie. And then the headless horseman then throws his head, his pumpkin head at Ichabod. Brom marries Katrina very quickly afterwards. And then rumors are that Ichabod is still alive and married to a wealthy widow in a distant country with children who look like him. That's just the rumors. And then everyone else in Sleepy Hollow is like, oh, they think that the horseman spirited him away and he's a ghost or whatever. And then the movie just ends right there.
What about the book?
Can I just say Actually, no, talk about the book first and then I'll say it.
I don't have too much on the book, except for my memory, which I think this kind of lines up pretty well, which is the whole story of the horseman and Sleepy Hollow. I was actually waiting for this part the entire time we were watching the short because they took so long to get to it. And it's just kind of like, you know, you have this horseman who kind of haunts the town. And if you wander too far, he'll chase you down. And if you don't cross the bridge in time, then he'll get you.
Yeah.
That's as much as I know about Sleepy Hollow.
The whole time I was waiting for Ichabod to get his head cut off because I thought he was the headless horseman. And I was like, what's going on?
It's true.
This is taking forever.
Same.
What I was going to say was, I hate this story.
Like in general?
It's just, what's the point of it? What, are we supposed to learn a lesson? Is it entertaining? Is it fun? No.
Is it fancy
free?
No.
None of those things.
None of those things.
And there's they make it into a musical, and that doesn't even make me like it. You know, if that can't do it, then nothing will.
It made it into a failed TV show that canceled.
Just awful.
Pretty recently.
Really?
I feel like once a decade, somebody makes a Headless Horseman, Ichabod Crane movie, and every time I'm like, God damn it!
So like Ichabod Crane and Headless Horseman are part of the same Sleepy Hollow story.
Yeah,
that's like the thing. All right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Although, like, I think some iterations, and I wasn't able to find the differences between the source material and the movie in this one either. But I think, like, in some iterations, it's like Ichabod who's pretending he's the horseman, or it's like the Brahm character where someone else pretends they're the horseman, and then like they get found out that they were like posing as the horseman, and then the real horseman comes out. Like that kind of stuff comes out. Which doesn't happen in this movie at all. There's no like reveal who the horseman is. It's
Thank
just
God
a thing.
They didn't make it any longer.
It's just like a terrifying bit. Yeah.
It's the tone is all over the place.
Well, that said, what are your moments that you liked about it, or what are the highlights, or stuff that you didn't like about it, whatever it is?
When Ichabod and the horse are running away, and he gets his face like caught up in the horse's butt. I thought that was pretty funny. And he had a butt face.
Yeah, I like the scary bits more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I think Brahm. I think this is a Disney Did You Know, but Gaston was like a kind of templated over Brahm, apparently.
Allegedly,
yeah. And you can kind of see that right off the get-go, because I wrote that right away, because I'm like, oh, Brahm comes in, really good with the ladies, really good with the men, super strong, like basically rips open a keg, and then
I know how
we
many
don't really know
this guy
much
eats every
about
morning.
anyone. I feel like in these like short films, it's like hard to get that. Like I get it that he's like a prototype or whatever, skeleton Gaston, but it's like I don't know shit about. I didn't even know his name was Brahm or whatever.
I had to Google it.
I had to Google it too.
I tried the whole time. I was trying to figure out what his name was, and I was like, "What are they saying? Are they saying Brown?"
Yeah, I think so. I think Ichabod's definitely a dick. There's no question about that. Like he doesn't treat people like. He's very popular,
but he's not even interesting enough to be a dick, right?
Man.
Like he's just there.
I wanted more spooks, less misogyny. I feel like I signed up for, I was like, give me the spooky tale, but the first half was just like misogynistic bullshit. And I was like, I don't really give a fuck about this school teacher who's taking advantage of all the women in this town. Like, why does anybody care about this guy? I'll save it for the hot takes, but he sucked.
Yeah.
Ichabod does suck, but I think going back to, and maybe this is more animation angle, although I'm not an animator, but I think there is still some fun visual bits in here, like peppered in Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
The horse butt.
The horse butt's good. I like there is a sequence where Ichabod is invited into Katrina's home, and then like between like them getting to the door to him getting inside and then leaving, there's a whole like back and forth between him and Brahm, like doing really ridiculous things, like kind of a give and take kind of comedy to it. And then yes, I think that the whole chase sequence was really pretty freaky, but also a lot of fun. Like you have like Ichabod just not able to like ride his horse properly ever, and then you have his like neck get caught on the tree, and then he kind of I love that bit. His neck gets caught on a tree. He goes on like 360 and then onto the horseman's horse. and then it happens again, and then he goes onto his horse, and I think that's just good comedy.
Love that.
But other than that, like, I just want to praise the small bits I can, because otherwise it's fine.
Otherwise it's just a big dump.
It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'll dip into. I don't have much for animation angle these days when we're not learning new things, but I do want to say that we had like some really big hitters on this two-parter. I don't know who animated what, but Frank and Ollie are like the two like biggest animation. Like when you think of like the old school animation, those are the two names. It's Frank and Ollie. So they're both on this. Milt Kahl is on this. He's a huge name. He's like super dedicated to his craft. Ward Kimball as well. Like there's huge animators part of this project, and it shows. Like the Ichabod stuff, and same with Mr. Toad. I thought Mr. Toad's design was really, really good, and I thought a lot of his animation was super fun. Ichabod, despite being a really shitty fucking character, his design was fun, and his animation was very like goofy, kind of like Goofy, where it was like wacky and this and that, but it was very good, and it was very cartoony, and a lot of the visuals were super well done. So I mean, as much as like watching this I was rolling my eyes a lot, at the same time I could appreciate the like actual talent, technologically speaking, that was going into this film.
I like the paintings that opened up Mr. Toad's part.
Oh yeah, the backgrounds are always
really cute.
A treat for sure.
Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for my segment.
Yeah. So. That's cool. I mean, that was great, Tongue. Thank you. You've really told us what this movie was really all about. And it sounds like it's a lot of bullshit, shitty characters doing things. Laura,
I also don't like that Katrina ends up back with Brom. Like I think that's kind of like,
I didn't even care.
I was just like, what is this? What's happening here?
Does anybody use the name Brom anymore? I did know a Brom. And he was okay. Actually, he was an okay dude, but he's the only Brom I've ever known, and that was many moons ago. Brom. Yeah. I feel like that's
Braun,
like a dying out name. But you know, I don't know that. But Laura, why don't you tell things that you do know? In the Did You Knows.
That is good. That's
Did
quality.
you know that the original title for this movie was called Two Fabulous Characters?
What? That's like the most misleading title I've ever heard in my life.
Okay. You know what? Mr. Toad is fabulous. Irresponsible. Absolutely. But also fabulous. Ichabod fucking Crane? No. You know what? Fraser Crane is more fabulous than this guy. What are we even looking at? So yeah, you can understand why that title was rejected. There's a little reference to Roy O. Disney, who is Walt's brother in this. So there's a line where Badger is saying how Toad spends too much money, and apparently it's a jab at Roy O. Disney, who was always complaining about Walt Disney spending too much money. So that's a fun little fact for you. Maybe that's just speculation on the part of some people who used to work there. But anywho. Sam, you kind of talked about earlier about how Katrina looks like Cinderella, which absolutely is true. But in fact, she was actually modeled after Grace Martin from Make Mine Music. I think that was the girl who was like dancing around and who like we saw her naked back and stuff like that. Who was like went to the pop shop and whatnot.
We all look the same, right? So
Make Mine Music, was that the one that we just watched?
No,
it was like before that.
We watched Melody Time last.
Oh my God, I can't keep track of it.
But you might remember from, I think it was just last week, that we watched, what's his name? Pecos Bill. Do you remember Slewfoot Sue, who rides that catfish looking thing? Also looks like her. Yeah.
Like her butt becomes a trampoline.
Yeah, we've got like the same face 4 women in a row. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Female beauty can only look one way. Good lesson, Disney. Sarcasm, in case you're not picking up on that. Yeah, it's speculated that Brom Bones was the inspiration for Gaston. I think that one's pretty clear right off the bat. Here's one that I think you're going to like. You guys know Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know the Toon Patrol?
Are they in that movie?
Yeah. So the Toon Patrol are basically a bunch of characters who are modeled after the Weasels from Mr.
Oh,
Toad's.
okay. I was gonna
very
say, I
cool.
was like,
Okay.
these weasels
Yeah.
look super familiar.
And I haven't seen that movie in probably 20 years, but I kind of remembered that.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
But these weasels also appear in other animated films by Disney, including How to Be a Detective, Mickey's Christmas Carol, and The Prince and the Pauper.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know Terrytown, which is referenced at the beginning of Ichabod Crane, is a real place in Westchester County, New York, and North Terrytown was long nicknamed Sleepy Hollow before being officially renamed in 1996.
Did not know.
Sleepy Hollow is a real place.
Did you know?
Did you know who the narrator of Ichabod and the Headless whatever is?
No.
I don't know.
Bing Crosby.
No fucking
Narrated
way.
that. Yeah, that was Bing Crosby. So he voiced all the characters and narrated. And Basil Rathbone narrated The Wind in the Willows. I didn't know who Basil Rathbone is. You perhaps don't either. So just to fill you in, he was the star of 14 Sherlock Holmes films. And you may remember a little reference to Sherlock Holmes as they're debating who the most fabulous character in British literature is.
Okay, so can I interject?
Go on.
This was going to be one of my hot takes, but I mean, since we're on the topic of Sherlock Holmes, Mr. Rat in this short film looks fucking almost identical to what's his face, Mr. Flaversham.
Basil?
No, not Basil. Mr. Flaversham,
isn't he?
the dad of the fucking little mouse that they're protecting in Great Mouse Detective is the film.
Oh, yes,
yes,
you're right.
Mr. Rat and the dad are the same design.
Yes. And Basil, who is the name of the person who voiced Mr. Rat, is a different character altogether.
Yes, but you might have this too, but the rat is based on Basil. Like the design of Rat, like
based on the real life Basil?
Real life Basil.
Basil Hawthorne.
Yeah, exactly.
Who played Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on
there. Inception right now.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And my last fun fact is, Sam, you're going to love this one. Do you want to know who was originally scheduled to introduce the film?
Yeah.
Jiminy Cricket.
Of course he was.
He was busy, so he couldn't make it. Or they fired him. I don't know. He just didn't have
He had to be conscious for once in his life, so.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, I will share one more thing. Because you know how I like to talk about how many times I've been to Disney World? Approximately 7. There used to be a ride there called Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Laura, this is in my notes, and I wanted to talk to you specifically about it because growing up, I kid you not, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was my favorite ride at Disney World.
It has a good amount of spook to it, right?
Yeah, I lived for that ride. It's one of the only ones I have a pretty vivid memory of, and I was really sad when they turned it into a Winnie the Pooh ride.
I'm so sorry. I think they still have it at Disneyland, Sam.
Really? Oh man,
California, here you come.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I usually
recommend.
Yeah, maybe not right now.
But Sam, doesn't this movie instead of having that ride, at least you'll have this movie for the rest of your life. So.
I wanted the ride though. The ride was really fun because you got to die at the end. You rode into a train and then it was presumed you died and you go through hell. It was super cool. Yeah, it was dark.
That doesn't happen in the movie.
You're on the cart and you hit a train and then you go through hell and then the ride's over and you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
I can kind of understand why they replaced it with Winnie the Pooh and a patch of flowers.
Yeah, it was heffalumps and woozles or whatever. But
those were the days.
Anyways, I thought it was always my favorite ride. I was really disappointed.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tongue, do you have any more Did You Knows?
I have one extra Did You Know, and that is, so we kind of talked about how this movie, or the Toad movie, was missing one of the segments, I guess, from the famous book, Wind in the Willows. Mm-hmm. But what ended up happening was, outside of the main narrative, actually, in addition to the main narrative, there was a series of independent short stories featuring Rat and Mole. So those were the two main characters moving forward, and they were like the buddies and what. You know what? Like I would be interested because those two characters to me were way more interesting than Toad in a lot of ways. Because Rat's kind of sophisticated and he plays by the book and likes his friend, but Mole is a really gentle soul.
He's always rushing to forgive anyone for any fault.
So he was like one of my favorite parts of the movies because he's just so sweet. He's just like, oh, we should forgive him.
Pushover.
He is. Love those characters.
I'm a real mole.
And that's it. That's my last. Did you know?
Did you have any? Did you know, Sam? Did ya?
Did ya? I did not. Did not.
I did not.
I did not. I did have though some hot takes. Though we've got to a few of them already in the film. So
hot cakes.
Yeah, hot takes. I mean, we already talked about Katrina being Cinderella, so like that's over and done.
I still think Bo Peep, but that makes sense. Cinderella.
I mean,
sure.
They're all the same tongue. We're all the same. Okay. So hot take. And I feel like Laura also already somehow, I forget how it was put in here, but I feel like we talked about Pecos Bill. Did you talk about Pecos Bill?
Because Slewfoot Sue.
Oh, right. You were talking about
modeled
Sue.
after
Yeah. Because I was saying that Pecos, my hot take was Pecos Bill and Ichabod are probably BFFs. They suck.
But they're too into themselves to even have BFFs. But yeah, like they could be.
I guess. I don't know. That was
Maybe
my
they're
only hot take because I couldn't give myself any more fucks.
Fine.
So
moving
on. Yeah. What hot takes you guys got?
I have 3 hot takes. How do you want me to do these?
One at a time.
One at a time? I say clubbing and dancing back in the day, or in this movie, like in Ichabod, is way more exciting than clubbing is today. You know what? I say clubbing, but you know how they're all dancing for like several minutes in that like barn
that was the worst segment. I hated it. They're just making fun of the chubby girl. I wasn't
still
into
more
it.
fun than real life clubbing at a dance party. That's how I feel.
Yeah. When was the last time you went clubbing?
Very long ago. So I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know. But my memory of clubbing, not too fun.
My hot take: Confessions of a Shopaholic is a knockoff of Wind in the Willows.
Whoa.
Continue.
Yeah, it's just a girl who's spending too much money, whose friends, well, not her friends, her credit card companies, are trying to like lock her up so she can't spend any more money, but she can't be tamed. She just wants to live her best life, and there aren't any consequences. So,
all right,
Sam, what do you got?
I told you what I got.
It's your turn, Tongue.
Oh, okay. So how many do you have?
2 more.
2 more? Okay, back to back. Yeah. All right. So I think Mr. Winky should have been played by Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies. Give it a little bit more horror aspect.
I'd watch that.
Great.
So speaking of which, you remember the court scene in Wind in the Willows?
Yeah.
This judicial system is almost as corrupt as the American one.
It's good.
Oh,
it's good.
Thanks for your pity laugh, Sam.
I got it.
It wasn't. It hurts my soul. But
yeah,
you know.
Canada's not perfect either.
It's an uncomfortable laugh because it's too real, Laura.
I'm sorry.
But that's what hot takes are.
My hot and real takes. We should rename them.
My final hot take, and this is controversial, 100% controversial, but I'm coming in real hot with it.
Yeah.
Somehow, I think this might be top 2 of the 6 of the package films that we watched.
Honestly, I don't even know. You might be right.
And just think about it. Let's just do a quick recap. Saludos Amigos, 3 Caballeros,
Make Mine
Music, Melody Time, Fun and
Fancy Free,
and Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I think just rattling all those off, this might be the most watchable one out of all of them, even if you didn't have as much much fun.
I was still bored, but yes, I agree, I guess.
So over the course of these 6 movies, how many shorts do you think we watched? Was it like average of 4 per? So probably 24.
Guys, next episode, I expect you to come back with your top 3 shorts.
Okay, here's
I'm
my
putting
last
this as host. I get to do whatever I want. And this is what's happening. When you come back next episode, next week, listeners, Tongue and Laura and myself will have a top 3 of the shorts that we have endured over the past 5 weeks.
That's not fair.
Sam?
It is law. It is happening.
Sam?
Yeah?
These are the worst shorts since hot pants.
What?
That's my last hot take.
Oh, shorts. I got it.
Hot pants are shorts.
I like
yes,
it. That's a good hot take.
Thank you, listeners. Thanks for laughing along at home, listeners. I know you got it.
Laura's on fire because she's wearing hot pants.
I'm not. I'm not wearing any pants. I'll be honest.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's it for this week, I suppose.
Well, Sam, before we go, I just want to say, this might be a Disney Did You Know that I might have missed, but I just want to say, just imagine, because in 1955, I believe it was, they sold the Ichabod story and the Mr. Toad story separately as like two separate pieces. Are
you saying they're going to be made again?
No. Well, I think
we have to watch them again.
I was just saying, what if like this week we only watched one of them and then we had to watch another one for next week? At least we got them all at once.
We're done.
That's what I'm saying.
We're done.
So we're done for now. So
no, we're done.
Guys,
yeah, that's it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm supposed to, listeners at home, I'm supposed to get you hyped for our next film, right? Right? Is that part of what I'm supposed to do here today?
Yeah, that's your job.
All right, that's my job.
Again, episode 11, Sam should know this.
Yeah. We're all just settling in.
Well, rude. I just wanted to build some hype, so you guys...
You're doing great, Sam.
You know what? You can go. So, next week, we're going to see our girl Katrina again, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
We're going to see our girl Katrina again.
Different eyes.
Jokes. She's going to be playing the part of Cinderella.
Cinderella.
Oh my God, a real movie.
Oh.
So, you know what?
Just think about the plot we have ahead of us.
Just a little bit of a to just preempt the audience here. I don't really love Cinderella, but after watching all of this, I think I might.
Yep.
You're fucking ready.
I'm fucking ready for it.
Like, not to spoil or anything, but we're about to enter Disney princess territory. Like, I know we went there with Snow White already, but not to the extent of the gowns that we're about to witness.
And we're out of it. Like, there's no more. Like, I think there's bits and pieces of bullshit, but that was it.
For the most part, we're all the way into full length features with consistent plot lines and none of this chopped up. What do you call it?
Liver.
What do you call it when you chop stuff up and it's
dice?
Ceviche.
Oh, okay.
Sure. No more of this ceviche.
Let's say green onion.
It's not good enough to be called ceviche.
Yeah, green onion.
I don't know, guys.
Man, I don't know either.
This is what the shorts have done to us.
Yeah. You know what, guys? You made it. If you have been listening thus far, I would like to give you a personal round of applause because you've stuck with us. Guys, clap.
Also, if you've watched all of these before or after listening to this podcast, let us know. We want to hear your thoughts.
Yes, actually, please do. It would make it all worth it to know your feelings too.
Yeah, although we probably put them off of this stretch of 6 after about the second one.
We will take them into consideration, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give credit where credit's due. If you tell us a hot take, maybe it'll appear in our hot takes.
Yeah, we'd love your hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
Or lukewarm ones.
Whatever
as long
takes.
as they're real.
Whatever takes.
Let's be honest, ours haven't been great.
Well, I think that's about it for us tonight, folks.
Yeah.
Laura, you want to sing us out?
Nothing would give me greater pleasure, except for never watching these last 6 movies again.
God, okay.
Da, 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 da.